West Ham have had 2 bids rejected, one £20 million bid for James Ward-Prowse and one £20 million bid for Harry Maguire. So we're going to be diving into that. Vlasic has made some controversial comments about wanting to leave. What's going on with Cresswell? Nicky's fan survey. We're going to get into all of that. It is a full house here tonight. Look, it's myself, Scott, Nicky, and Graham. Everyone's been asking, where the hell is this man? We've found him.
I've had a very hectic social life the last few weeks, so
he's back.
So little stout and that on the go. Look, look at him. Little stout and that on the go. A mile and a half. Half a mile.
That's it. Honestly, I should have got a drink because you need a drink following this club during the transfer window.
Listen, I don't know why you're surprised by it all, mate. It's the same every year.
Well, this is the thing. I mean,
but before we get started, I've got to say, right, I'm getting a little bit depressed by it all. I'm getting a little bit pissed off of it all. So I thought to myself, like, I've been reminiscing a bit about Prague and that because people were sort of like saying that I didn't like the win in Prague. Look, I know you probably won't be able to see it because it goes see-through, but I got myself like a program from the shop, right? From the final, because I didn't get one on the thingy, right? But now this is something else, yeah? I've got to show you this. And this is not a sponsored video. I bought this myself, yeah? And it's a little one over £100. And I'm going to give him a shout out because I've never had something so beautiful land in my possession, right? I've got to show you this. Right, this is from a guy called Martin Hobbs Memorabilia.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this, yeah.
Right, but look at this.
Yeah, nice. I think
Ryan's got one as well.
Ryan's got one. Yeah. Ryan already showed us last week. You're late to the party. He showed his off last week. But no, it does. It looks like a thing of beauty, to be fair.
They're very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've made more signings than West Ham at the moment.
It was just you know, with all the stuff that's going on in the summer, and I remember like the elation that we had in Prague and that, and I've been a little bit miserable over the last couple of weeks and a little bit down in the dumps, and it seems like everything's going to pot again. And so I got myself saying to remind me of a night I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Better time. It seems so long ago now, doesn't it? That's the thing. It just seems like it was months ago.
Yeah, that's it. And now we're sort of pulled into transfer window chaos. I mean, the question I put on there with, look, these bids for Ward-Prowse and Maguire rejected. We've got McTominay. Apparently, they want way more than we're willing to spend on McTominay. Is it time to move on from these? You know, these are what we seem to be Moyes' main targets. Is it time to move on from them? Should we be going all out to get these targets over the line? If he wants Maguire, McTominay, Ward-Prowse. I mean, let's get into what you guys think first. I'll give my thoughts.
I mean, the thing is, Dan, like before we go on about what we think about the signs, you know, I've read things that you know, a new director of football wants certain players and Moyes doesn't, and it's a sort of like a battle of wills sort of thing, and he's thinking of walking away already. Only been in the job a few weeks, you know. You just don't know what's true. What you read is true. The only people who know behind the scenes come, we're not privy to that sort of information, are we? So, but it's it's certainly been a bit of a
I think the thing is, great. What you got to do is you look at it, and like you said, you don't know what's true, and you've got to try and piece together your own conclusions. And the way I look at it, I think if you look at it and you was to guess, right, who's going to be more inclined to go for Maguire, James Ward-Prowse, and McTominay? Moyes or Steidten? Do they seem more like Moyes players or Steidten players? You know, even if you ignore you could just, it's got Moyes written all over it, those players, to me.
Yeah, there were a couple of Moyes players. But, you know, I'm not against that. If he's going to remain our manager, he needs to have what he feels comfortable in the squad. There's no point in giving him something like a a Skamaka or another Ben Rama because he doesn't want them. He wants, and he knows what he wants. And if they are Moyes' players, then go and get them. Because if they're so adamant that he's going to be the manager, and I don't agree with him being the manager, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but he's going to be the manager. So if that's what he thinks will do it, then not only will it give him, what he wants, and it gives him accountability. Because if they come in and they don't work, or, we still find ourselves in the same position, then fucking jog him on. Because I'm getting a little bit.
I mean, the thing is, there's no point sort of trying to shoehorn in players that he doesn't want or are not going to fit his system. Because one, it's like we've seen, with Ben Rama and Vlasic and Skamaka, they've not gone backwards, but they've stagnated. They haven't been getting the game time. So, like you say, give him the players he wants. They're going to get the game time. Otherwise, we're just throwing money up.
I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand. It comes to me a couple of times. We're getting embarrassed, I think, a little bit. I think we're getting turned down by people that we've, I think they was quite confident of a couple of players like jumping at the chance to come now that Rice is gone. It's not happened. They're getting embarrassed a little bit. They're getting a little bit, it seems like they don't want to approach any sort of quality because they're worried about getting turned down and mugged off a little bit more. But this whole saga I think it's crackers. I think it's nuts.
This is why I disagree with you, Nick, about just because getting Moyes' players in because he's. You're right. You're not wrong in principle. If he's your manager and he wants players, you want to get players for the manager. Here's my issue: he's got 1 year left. Spending £40 million on a 30-year-old Harry Maguire who's on massive wages, doesn't really want to come to West Ham. That doesn't seem to be a good decision for the long-term future of West Ham United. And sometimes you have to look at it and you go, okay, Moyes wants this player. We splash out 40 mil. Maybe in the short term it works. How's it going to? What's the knock-on effect?
No, I do understand that. I do understand. It's a very selfish approach by Moyes, but at this moment in time, Dan, you've got a situation on our hands right this second is where we're running out of time. He needs to get players in. We need another midfielder, at least another midfielder, without anything else. And we get into the situation now where if we go into the season without those players or players, he's going to be full of excuses. It will be lingering at the bottom of the league again. And instead of just holding his hands up and the board saying, well, maybe he isn't the man for the job after all, he could just turn around and go, well, I didn't get the players I want. We've lost our best player. We've lost our captain. What do you expect? And I don't want go. Listen, I know it sounds a lot of money and it is a lot of money. Yeah. But in today's terms, it isn't that much money. Give him the money, let him go and spend it. And if he falls on his arse, then that's down to him.
Yeah, but then we're fucked. That's the problem.
We're fucked either way. I agree. We're fucked either way. If he doesn't get him, he's got the perfect get out.
Do you know what makes me?
He has to get out, but that's not going to wash with Moyes, with Sullivan, because he can make the excuse. But if we're down in a relegation battle again, right, and we're facing that when he's got a year left on his contract, that's not going to wash and go, well, I didn't get my players and you give me your players. Well, you're the manager. That's the team you've got to manage. You're not doing a good job of managing them. We'll find someone else who is. But if we give him these players now, the 40 million on Maguire's and McTominay's and all of that, then it doesn't work out and we have to sack him. Then a new manager is going to come and inherit these Moyes players that are overpriced, that he can't get rid of. And it's just going to be bloating up the team rather than being.
Hang on. Right,
McTominay is not a bad player.
Exactly right. I'm sitting here right, and I'm reading the comments and listening to you. Right, you're telling me you're turning down Manchester United's captain for the last few seasons. You're turning down Scott McTominay, who's a big player for Scotland. He plays his part for Manchester United, and James Ward-Prowse.
What does that mean? I'm not turning down Ward-Prowse.
right? Well,
the right price.
Three proven Premier League players, yeah? 3 players that could have add a lot of experience to the side. The side, bearing in mind, that survived in the Premier League last season by the skin of their teeth, yeah? They're Moyes type players. What's the point in bringing in these untried, untested young players that have got the potential to go on and do something, and then we end up in the same situation where we did in the league last season?
Untested. McTominay's been tried and tested at Man United. He's been shit.
Maguire's been
tried and tested at Man United. He's been shit. They've tried and tested.
He's not been shit.
They have.
He hasn't.
McTominay's been shit
for Man United. Yes. All of this, he's done his part. They want him out. Their fans hate him. He's been shit.
No. Let's get it right. McTominay is a good player.
Yeah,
he's a good Premier League player. He's a solid Premier League player.
Is he much better than Souček, who we want out?
Yes.
No,
he's got more to his game than Souček.
Slightly, marginally.
A lot more.
I'm sorry, but
you're telling me
the reason why Man United are trying to get rid of him is he's 26, by the way. So he's not over the hill. He's not 29, 30. He's 26 years old. £40 million for him. I think a couple of seasons ago he was up there with Rice. Man United have been through a bad time. They've been through bad transitions. Really bad transitions with managers and all that. And they're trying to raise the quality the same way Arsenal did. You know, there's players in Arsenal's side a couple of years ago that would have walked into our side. Now, they wouldn't class them as good players. I wouldn't listen to what Man United's fans say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know they're fucking arse from their elbow.
But okay, tell me for £40 million, what does Scott McTominay, what are his qualities that are going to really excel our midfield? What is he bringing to West Ham United?
He scores goals from midfield.
He scored 12 goals in over 140 appearances or something like that.
That's more than what Declan Rice added.
Yeah, but so what? We've got 2 players that don't score many goals, but he scores more than Rice.
He'll get more opportunity. Listen, I don't think he's a bad player. Exactly. I don't think he's a bad player at all.
But there's better value out there, Nick. We can't. This is the thing.
The players they want to come to us. They don't.
What's better value? No, what is better value? Tell me what's better value out there.
Well, Fofana for a start is better value. I would rather pay an extra 15 mil to Everton and get Onana.
No, he rejected us. He turned us down. He turned us down last year.
He didn't turn us down, Nick. We fucked about. We didn't offer a good value package that Everton offered. They offered more money to him.
So he turned us down.
Yeah. But we didn't pay the money what we were supposed to pay for him. But it doesn't matter. He's a much better player. What I'm saying is, Nick, right? We keep going about Premier League proven. It's still a risk. You can't just assume that you go to Man United and everyone's going to be a Jesse Lingard, right? Jesse Lingard weren't even a Jesse Lingard for Nottingham Forest.
No,
at the end of the day, you go to Europe and you say you sign a Fofana, right? Or an Alvarez or someone like that. If you do your homework, and you look at that player and go, right, do they have the qualities that suit how we want to play? Do they have the physicality to keep up with the Premier League? Everyone's a risk. Everyone, right?
I've said that all along.
I just think it's so lazy. Just go, well, they've played in the Prem. They've played for Man United. Oh yeah, they're good enough for us. Like, come on. Like, they're on massive wages. You can't tell me with a scouting network, with a director of football, we cannot find better value players out there than Maguire and McTominay.
The problem is, Dan, that might be well and good. Or find a scouting network. Scouting networks take time to set up, and they obviously haven't fucking set one up.
We've got Steidson is recommending the fucking players. Moyes don't want them. He's recommending them.
But this is the same old, Dan. It's like I feel this is a rinse and repeat of what we were going through last season. Oh, Newman's picked out this player, and we're not signing them. Moyes wants this player, and then we end up with players coming to the football club who then you come the end of the season, you're sitting there scratching your head going, well, who actually did sign them? We've got we signed one of the best Brazilian players in the Brazilian national team, the best number 9 for Italy. Skamaka hasn't worked out. That was a risk, that was a gamble. But you're looking at players that have proven in the Premier League who you know are going to adapt. There's no settling in period. They're going to add something to the steel of the side. You're not sitting there and looking at McTominay as a replacement for Declan Rice, because Declan Rice is a different quality level.
Yes,
but you've got to look to now. We've got to forget about Declan Rice. Declan Rice has gone. This is now a new era for the club. This is now this is a rebuild for this football club. Rebuild.
So rebuild. We need
a few seasons of stability. We need stability.
The one thing. There was a comment.
Stability.
There was a comment from some. I think it was John said, the average age of the squad is worrying, and it does need bringing down. And I agree with that. I think we're, if not the oldest, one of the oldest going into this Premier League season. We do need some younger players coming through the door, and there is some young, talented players in Europe out there, and I totally agree. But the way we were last season, we need to go into this season, and we need to have players that have got that Premier League, that are not going to need a bedding in period, not going to need time to settle in. Maguire's a quality player. He's been playing bad for Manchester United, but you see him in an England shirt without that pressure, having to play for Manchester United. He's a completely different player. McTominay for Scotland. Sorry, mate.
He doesn't want to come to West Ham. He doesn't want to play.
He doesn't want to come. He doesn't want to come. Then we won't buy him.
That's it.
He's on over 200 grand a week. Like I said,
Man United know they've got to subsidise his wages. They know all this. They know clubs are not going to pay this money.
He was a toxic element in their dressing room when they had all that shit going on with the Ronaldo saga and the factions and all of that. It's so much baggage. But the idea that
I don't think Harry was toxic when Ronaldo was the one that was toxic in that dressing room.
Well, again, it's whatever side you want to fall on, right? But this is the thing, Scott. At the end of the day, Man United want to sell McTominay, right, and Maguire, right?
Yep.
They're players that they need to get rid of. It's not like Declan Rice. We didn't want to get rid of Declan Rice, so Arsenal had to bend over and pay what we wanted, right?
Yep.
No one else is going to pay 40 million for Maguire or 40 million for McTominay. So here's what you do. So you don't let yourself...
I wouldn't pay 40 million for Maguire.
What?
I wouldn't pay 40 million for Maguire.
But that's what we're talking, Scott. That's how much they want. So,
but that's it. But that's ridiculous. So you don't meet their demands. You wait till the end of the window and then turn around and say, "Listen, we'll give you this for him. Take it or leave it." We do to Manchester United exactly what Marseille done to us when we had to sell Payet. They waited till the last minute and went, "Here's what we're offering. Take it or leave it."
But Payet wanted to go. Maguire wants to stay and fight for his place. But what I ask you, Scott, would you rather us do that, wait to the end of the window and say, is 25, 30 for Maguire, whatever that middle ground is going to be? Or would you rather say us go, all right, you keep him. Let's go out and get Tar or something for 20 million or something.
I would definitely go for Tar. If Tar's available for 20 million, he's keen on the move. I would go for Tar over Harry Maguire. But what you got, I listen, Harry Maguire argument is all well and good. That's not a pressing position at this moment in time. The pressing position is replacing our midfield. And I would, if they got James Ward-Prowse in the McTominay, I'd be okay with that.
No.
I would be okay with that.
Listen, it's got to be one or the other. Listen, I think Ward-Prowse, we've had a £20 million bid rejected. If we went 25, 30, look, it doesn't excite me. He's not going to blow us away, but he's a leader. He's, good at set pieces. He offers you something. He's a big upgrade on Souček, right? I'd take that. I think in one season, I wouldn't make him a captain this season. I think it's a piss take for a player to come in and be a captain for a season. But
agree with you there, mate.
Future captain. But him, we need something. We can't have Ward-Prowse and McTominay because they both have their limitations. What we need is a Ward-Prowse and a player like an Onana or a Fofana.
I'm going to tell you this now, and I'm going to slap you with a bit of reality. Yeah, no one's playing over Souček. That's for sure.
Well, look,
no one will play over Souček while David Moyes is in charge.
Yeah, we're all talking what we want to see. Look, we want, and this is the thing. But this is, you're telling me, if we paid 40 million for McTominay and we paid 30 million for Ward-Prowse, we're still one of them's on the bench for Souček. Is that what you're saying?
We paid 50 million for Scamacca and Antonio still plays.
Listen, we get McTominay. McTominay and Souček are playing in the midfield together.
And that is pure, unadulterated AIDS. And I do not want to see it at my... Listen, I'm not going to be there for it if that happens. But what I'm saying is, and someone made a good point here actually on the Onana thing. Someone said about Danjuma rejected what do you call it, Everton, and then now they've got him. So you just look at if they're a quality player and they're going to add something and really elevate your midfield, you go and slap the money down. And Onana, for me, is head and shoulders above McTominay.
Really?
Like we need,
really?
head and shoulders. Head and shoulders.
And I love you, mate. I do love you, but I think sometimes you are very short-sighted because Scott McTominay is a good, reliable, solid Premier League player, and Onana's come into an Everton team and shown, and they want an extra 25 million on top of what they paid for him. I would not be paying 55 million pounds for Onana. No way.
But you'd pay 40 million for good old reliable Scott McTominay because what? What does he do? What does he do? Tell me what he does that's really going to elevate our midfield. What?
Do you know what? I
goal scoring.
Scott McTominay a few years ago was very highly rated. He was a very highly rated player. He was a youngster. He was coming up. There was a lot of comparisons between him and Declan Rice, and he has very, very good games. He scored some important goals as well. And don't forget that, right? Man United over the last couple of years has been a shit show, an absolute shit show. And they've gone through players and they've gone through managers and players and, all of this shit in the dressing room. I think someone like Scott McTominay, and let's not forget, right? And this is a fact that there are certain players that David Moyes can turn back into superstars. I think Harry Maguire would be one that he would get the very best out of. And I think Scott McTominay would be one he would get the very best out of because they are his type of players and he knows what they'll give him. That is, and okay. I'm telling you now, I think someone like Scott McTominay would relish in the fact that Declan Rice is now gone. He'll relish in the fact that he will become the focal point of a midfield. He will relish in the fact that he's got a chance to get his career back on track. Sometimes that's all they need.
Nick, you did a video the other day, right? You put out a video talking about the 5 things Moyes needs to do to win the fans over. One of those things was play better football, play a more attractive brand of football. McTominay and Maguire are the antithesis of that. That is the opposite. So that doesn't compute. Whereas if you get someone like a Fofana or an Onana,
I'm not gonna sit here and say McTominay's gonna be the next step in the level of football. But if we sign someone like McTominay and Ward-Prowse is a different player. They're 2 different players. But I'm telling you now, right? Whether you like it or not, whether we think this player, and this player, David Moyes will get the players he wants, and David Moyes will pair whoever he gets up with Souček.
And we will still play shit football. That's what I'm saying. So we got to be looking to bring in much more hungry, energetic players that are better on the ball, better passing range.
But he won't.
Things like players like that.
Even listen, I see a lot of people right that are going on about in the comment section. Star some of these comments, by the way, going on about who's better to go and get. Who can we go and get? Alvarez. Have you ever seen Alvarez pass the fucking football? He's worse than Souček.
Yeah, but I don't. He's not worse than Souček.
Yes, he is.
He's not much better. He's not much better.
He cannot pass a football 5 yards. Imagine him and Souček playing in the midfield together. Fuck me, it'd be like school days. It'd be like when I used to play with Scott.
Yeah, look.
I don't think any of us. I'm not sitting here saying that you go and get a McTominay over Onana. Right, Onana's a good player, right, but he's probably not available. McTominay, we've got to be realistic here. We've got to look at who's available.
But there's who wants to come. You know what I mean? Look, you could turn around and say, look, I would say, I could turn around and go, you know what? The best value out there is Amrabat because he's 25 million. He's better than all of them. He's not going to come to West Ham.
And you know what the funny thing is? They are spending £25 million on Amrabat, who is far, far better than McTominay.
Yeah,
and they want to charge us $40 million for McTominay.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. You look at the comparisons like that. It's ridiculous. You're paying because McTominay's experience in the Premier League. That's all that is, which is the ridiculous thing.
Yeah. So don't let yourself get mugged off. Where have Brighton have gotten to where they've got to with their brilliant. Scouting and signing, not by going and just taking the cast off.
The trouble is, if you get even an half decent British player come through, their price tag immediately goes through the roof. So I know we're you know, they haven't just come through, but you know, they've been playing in the Premier League for a lot of years, and they're British, so their price tag will automatically be a lot higher than going to Europe and buying.
West Ham are not going to pay £40 million for him. Whether Man United want £40 million for him, the fact of the matter is they're not going to pay £40 million. Then they won't pay that. They won't reach that agreement. It'll go to 25, 30 million, and they might put some add-ons in. They will not go nowhere near £40 million for anybody.
It's not gonna. It's not. Look, those signings. I don't think either Maguire or McTominay. Look, we can argue about it till blue in the face. I don't think it's going to happen because we and Sullivan. And this is the thing with those bids. There's been a lot of talk online amongst fans about saying, look, these £20 million bids, especially like McTominay, Maguire, is that Sullivan's way of going? Look, we tried. Here's your targets. We had to go at your targets. They didn't want to accept the price. Let's move on to these Stuyvesant targets now, Moyes. We had to go. Let's find better value elsewhere. A lot of talk about that.
There is also, like, whether we want to talk about whether, you know, our opinion is we would take McTominay or not. There is also times when people and football clubs will declare interest and try bidding for players, low ball offers, right? And I'm not making excuses for Sullivan, to try and push other clubs into lowering their demands for players because they're thinking, oh, they're looking elsewhere now. You know, McTominay and Maguire, I agree. Maguire, if he wanted to come here on the same wages he's on at Man United, fuck off. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
I'd take him on loan all day long. Like, I would take him on loan.
I'll take him as a backup. But McTominay, I would take, but I wouldn't be paying, and they won't be paying £40 million for him. And we can't pay him the sort of like 100 and whatever grand a week he's paying. You know, if he's going to leave Man United, he's got to drop his wage demands.
200 grand a week, 200 grand.
Well,
a week,
whatever it is, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing. Them players, they warrant that wage playing for Manchester United. Coming to us, they don't warrant that wage. No, that's how I see it. Like you said, the fees that are being touted around 40 million each, it's ridiculous. Yeah, we're not going to pay that, and I wouldn't want to see the club pay that. Would I turn my nose up at the players? No, but I don't. I wouldn't want to.
This is the point, Scott. I would take these players for the right price because then it allows us to go and get the better players and their squad players.
Not for 40 million quid.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you presented a Maguire for 20 mil, it absolutely suits Moyes down to a T, right? You get him for a couple of seasons of Maguire. Okay, you know, we give that a go. McTominay, you know what I mean? Similar. But this is the problem. Man United, as we have seen, they've rejected £20 million. They're not going to accept that. So we should move on. There's no point. I know it's Moyes' targets, but there's no point fighting this and splashing. Imagine we spend the Rice money essentially on Maguire and McTominay.
Yeah, you go back. You raise your bid by 5 million, 25. That's fine. No more than that. I'd rather put a bit more bunts on the James Ward-Prowse and get him through the door, to be honest. You know, because he does bring a lot more to the team than what McTominay would bring. So I'd rather spend the money on that. You know, his delivery at set pieces, you know, that is something that we've struggled on for a long period of time. Our set pieces, you know, delivery wise, have been quite poor. You know, him coming in and taking call, he will bring more, and he's probably better value to spend 30 million on him than it would be to spend 30 million on a McTominay.
But regardless of what happens, right? The thing that concerned me the other day, and someone just brought it up here, 6 months. We've known at least for 6 months he was leaving. We've known for a year that he was looking to leave, and they promised him to leave. How there is no sort of like, I agree to a certain extent. You know, if we had a bit of time and we had a couple of people lined up, go for younger, more hungry, better players than that. But we're getting to the point now where we're about 2-3 weeks away from the start of the season, and there's nobody, you know, at the moment. And this is like what we're staring down the barrel at. In that midfield is going to be Souček and Downs.
Yeah,
possibly Paqueta.
But this is the thing, and like you said, I think we've known longer than 6 months that Rice was leaving.
Yeah, we've known for that time, and you're years.
We've known for ages that this, you know, even at least the start of the season, this is probably Rice's last season, and you're telling me that the name that you come up with as your first choice midfield replacement is Scott McTominay. Like, that's the best you can do after all this time of knowing that this was coming, that Rice was leaving, you arrive at McTominay. It's just laziness. That is,
it is lazy. Yeah, it is laziness. But when I'm looking at availability, obviously we haven't scouted anyone. Obviously we haven't attracted anyone. Obviously we haven't been trying to convince anyone to come. I would take that because we cannot afford to go into the season without, you know, even David Sullivan himself, the day after the final, said we need 2 replacements for him.
But do you think that's down to the fact that maybe the pre-planning wasn't done because neither the manager or the board expected David Moyes to be here?
No,
I don't know about that.
No. Listen, their time to get rid of him was last season, and they refused. They knew he was staying. They knew there's a couple of players that was for less that was at Leicester as well that we should have been like getting in the area role.
I still don't know why we didn't go in for Tielemans.
You know what I mean? And listen, I know that Villa is an attractive project, but we should have been in his ear role, Tielemans, about coming and you know Rice is going and all that, but we obviously weren't. And I don't think, I honestly, with the management, and this is, you know, people are going to slag me off and all of that sort of thing. And, you know, people that don't agree with the Moyes out thing because of the trophy and all that sort of thing. I respect everyone's opinion and I respect you. And I listen, but it doesn't mean I have to agree with your opinion. We should have sacked him off, mate, because under Moyes and Sullivan, this is a very unattractive club to come and play for.
They're a match made in. Yeah, we're going to get to the. But someone asked about super chats. We're going to get to the comments now. But yeah, I agree. Moyes and Sullivan, match made in hell when it comes to transfer windows. Yeah, let's get to some comments.
A bit of ambitious, a difference. Yeah, I agree with that. They're showing something.
Yeah, you can't knock what they're doing. They've got an attractive manager in terms of Emery. Not physically, I mean, obviously, football-wise. Yeah, Emery, attractive proposition, and they're ambitious. Red 5999 Super Chat says, so West Ham future is selling Rice and getting McTominay and Maguire for 80 million. No wonder Rice left. Promote the kids, save the money, finish 15th. We can't have 11 Dawson gambles. And here's the thing on Dawson. He costs peanuts. People say, well, what about Dawson? He costs peanuts.
Yeah. Listen, I would... With the money, I would like to have seen a statement. I would like to have seen them go out and absolutely get a target and make sure they get it over the line. But I do not think they ever will. While these lot are in charge, management and board, I don't think they'll ever do that. They'll always go into buying players like a car boot sale. And I honestly believe, right, and you can read into it what you want, unless people are absolutely desperate to get rid of players, they don't want to deal with West Ham because they're fucking sick to the back teeth of Sullivan and his dealings.
Yeah, but we've known that there was talk of that like last season before that clubs didn't want to deal with us just because of Sullivan the way he behaved.
So they need to change then, Graham. They ain't changing.
He's not going to, is he? He's not going to.
So you know, we have to face facts.
Well, Steve Bell says, as much as I'm 499 Super Chat, thanks as always, Steve. As much as I'm pissed off, are we all surprised by this? He says,
no.
I mean, not surprised. Just once again, it's still annoying. It doesn't make it any less frustrating.
It's the hope that kills you, man. It's the hope that kills you. It is the absolute hope that kills you because you think to yourself, right, this is the situation. They can't do that again. They can't. It won't wash, but they do. They must think we are fucking idiots. But there we go.
It's very frustrating. Steve also makes a good point, actually brings up Kamada is available for free. Frankfurt player who bossed Rice, in the Europa League. And yeah, he's available on the free. Why not? Why not go out? Obviously, he's a more attacking minded midfielder than we'd still need a defensive midfielder. But yeah, why not? We need to be going all out for him.
I don't think we're going to have as bad a season as I think. No, I think we're going to be all right.
Well, we got to make some signings and see who we bring in.
Yeah. But I honestly, I sit here and everyone thinks I'm thinking we're going to get relegated and all that. I don't think we're going to have as bad a season as people think we're going to have, even without Rice. I think a couple of the signings from last season will come good, and they will push us.
A few comments and questions about the plaque, Nick.
Yeah.
Where is that from? Birthday coming up, so I can get a little present from myself. Very nice piece, Nicky, and wow, I want one.
It's a guy called on Twitter, right? Martin Hobbs Memorabilia. He hasn't got. I don't think he's got a store or anything. You have to message him, and you direct transfer him. But you can trust him because I've trusted him with my money, and the goods are in my my hand.
Both Nicky and Ryan have got one. I've seen other people on Twitter that all have them. So yeah,
Martin Hobbs, Martin with a Y. Go and have a look, and he's got them. He won't have many left.
Yeah,
he won't have many left, I'm sure.
Tony Ammer Ryan, it's 1972, says play him as he is played at Scotland, not the way he plays at Man United. Then he will shine. McTominay fan there. Amin says we've had years to look for replacements for Rice. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, mate. Because he hasn't been signing contracts for the past few years, so we've known that he wanted to go. Connor Boundy says club backing Moyes, right thing, by bidding for his top targets, but only at a certain price. JWP looks likely, so now club should move on to Stuyten's list for better value / same quality. Right thing. Fair. That's a fair comment, Connor.
Yeah, very fair comment.
I was about to get into this actually after this subject that was on the agenda.
I'll start it then, and we can.
We'll come back to that because, I definitely want to get into that one. And get that. Joseph Starlin says Fofana, Alvarez, and Onana are on a different planet from Maguire and McTominay. Take your rose-tinted glasses off, Nick.
That's your opinion. My opinion is there's not much difference.
What, Onana and McTominay?
Let's see what Onana does next year.
Yeah, okay.
And then we'll talk.
I think there's a lot more upside on that one. And we'll see how McTominay does next season, won't we, as well? Dino says Alvarez over McTominay for me. Ultra 505. Kefren Turam would be better than McTominay. Dan? Yeah, there's a lot of players out there in Europe that will present much better value. Sign Mbappe and Haaland, then play 4-4-2. It's not rocket science. Yeah, that's the
only thing that make Dan happy, I think.
That's a lot.
They haven't done it in the Prem. Well, Mbappe hasn't, has he? He's not Prem proven.
Yeah, he's had one good season.
He's not Prem proven, Mbappe, mate. He's not English. E20's own TV, shout out, says Scott McTominay is not the solution at 40 million at all. It's stupid.
We won't pay 40 million for him. We won't.
But that's what they're asking for.
But so what?
But what? But that's what
we get it.
Yeah, but that's what we're debating.
Yeah, do you want to buy my phone?
That's what they want.
I want 800 quid for it. But are you going to pay
it? Yeah, but that's what the price is. We all talked about what the price was.
This ain't the fucking Tesco garage. This is football. This is negotiations. You know what I mean? It's not 80p for a Mars bar, but I'm going to give you 40.
Yeah, but
it's negotiations. Yeah, trust me.
But it's okay. So when you're saying it's 40, how much do you reckon he goes for then?
I reckon he goes for like 30.
Talk about something else.
Well, we're reading the comments, Gray. At the end of the day, if people are talking
about the same argument we had 20 minutes ago.
But we're wrapped into the comments. It's the comments. We've got to do the comments. These people want to get involved as well. And Nana is a mercenary, says Ultra 505. Most players are. Most players are mercenaries now, mate. I take it you started this, Nick. Nicky's knowledge, Starling says his knowledge of football is laughable, to put it nicely. No wonder England is a laughing stock of world football. McTominay is below average crap, Maguire.
Not quite sure how England's a laughing stock of world football. Don't quite get
Euro final and semi-final for the World Cup year before, and out to the finalists this time and pushed them. I don't think they're a laughing stock, mate. I think they're a well-respected football team.
Yeah, it's a bit, but that's a very odd quote there, you know, and saying that your football knowledge is laughable when you're sitting there saying that. I think someone needs to look in the mirror.
Oh, start sticking up for his old buddy Nick there.
I don't always agree with Nicky, but to sit there and say England's a laughable or whatever it was,
in stock.
Yeah, all right. Living in La La Land, someone
let's wrap up this subject. People get
right. McTominay similar to Souček, soppy passer, can't carry the ball, makes mistakes under pressure. If McTominay can't function a team that pass and move, how will he work in a static team? Very good point, mate. Any other ones? Yeah. Yeah. So we got the Australia trip one, right? So let's get on to that. Yeah. So we've got Moyes. I don't know if everyone's got the exact quote, but he said, "Did anyone else hear Moyes blame the Australia trip for the lack of signings? He fucking took us over there. Last straw for me. Can't get my head around that one." Now, I'm gonna stick up for him because I do think that's a laughable quote, and I think he's done himself no favors. But he definitely didn't take us over there. Fucking the club made sure we went over there, so don't worry about that. Yeah, that was. I'm pretty sure that he was against that, and it was the club, obviously, just to grow and grow. But he definitely would prefer we went back up to Scotland. So to be fair, but yeah, stupid thing to say. At the end of the day, we've known about this Australia trip for a very long time, and because we're in another country, why can't we make signings? We're in England. We can sign players in Italy.
Called a phone.
Yeah, there's the phone. There's the internet. Yeah. How does being in a separate country?
Didn't Arsenal sign Declan Rice while they were in America?
No, that was before they went.
That was before they went.
But they went abroad. I think they did go abroad.
Somewhere. Yeah, they went America straight away because that's why he's been out there with them. But I don't quite get all this. Oh, because we've gone to Australia, it's affected us. It's not affected us. At the end of the day, the people who do the transfer business are here. Do you know what I mean?
They should have all been fucking ready to go. Yeah, months ago anyway.
We should have been starting to get things in place, but well before the final.
Exactly, great.
Before the final.
That's the thing that pisses me off about this club at times, and I'm sure it happens at other clubs, but obviously I don't really hear what they say. Is that
Germany, Arsenal?
Yeah, we've been trying, but the summer's short, and we've been over in Australia. That's insulting. It's insulting when you see people around you doing business, regardless of where they're ever in that country or another country, because they've already planned, they've already fucking spoke to people, they've already settled this up. You know, this ain't Tandy going off for Christmas and you can't buy a fucking remote control car after Christmas. This is football. You know what I mean? Like, you're accessible. It's not like you leave the country and then everything stopped. Quotes like that are laughable. They are laughable. And I honestly think, and I put out a list of questions that I'd love to, I see a couple of journalists getting to ask him questions and what they asked him, and I put out a list of questions that I'd love to ask him, and they don't respect us. They don't respect our opinion. They don't think they owe us an explanation on nothing. So I find quotes like that fucking insulting to intelligence of people, because it's absolutely laughable. It is laughable. But
found Scott's burner account, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the I mean, Scott, what as I've mentioned your name, what do you think about the comments? You haven't said much.
No, I said I turned around and said it's a pathetic excuse, mate. It is. It's an absolute joke that he's trying to blame that trip of our lack of activity. It's embarrassing.
They do think we're stupid.
But
honestly,
the thing is, like you say, we've known, we were resigned to the fact 6 months ago Rice was going, and not just Rice. We know that there was a few players sort of going to be coming to the end of their West Ham careers. So we should have been drawing up 6 months ago and going, right, when the window opens, these are the players I want to go for.
6 months ago, Arsenal had already spoken to Declan Rice and they'd convinced him to go. The only thing they needed to do was pursue him and pay the money.
And they was focusing on a title challenge. They was fully locked in to a title challenge and still had the foresight to have signings and transfers ready. They like you said, were lining up Declan Rice, lining up Kai Havertz, Timber, all ready to go, whilst having their attention focused on
They done 3 signings all at the same time. They was negotiating all 3.
Yeah.
And that's the embarrassing thing, and that's how a club run properly does its business. Yeah. And that is the be all and the end all. There's a reason why we are the only football club to have not signed a player in this transfer window. Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with going to Australia. It's got nothing to do with waiting on Declan Rice
or
money to come in.
No.
You know,
clubs have travelled around the globe for pre-season for years and years and years, and I've never, ever heard that excuse before in my life. They've still signed players whilst going to China, fucking South America, Australia, wherever, and they still sign players.
What help if our chairman weren't on a boat somewhere with his fucking missus waving her fucking Bristols around? That would help, because he's the one that's got to fucking negotiate at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. Apparently, I heard Brady's been negotiating. Like, she was a big part of negotiating the Rice deal. That's why we were never going to get anyone from Leicester.
I think they all need to. I think they all need to be, concentrating on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's disappointing. Very disappointing comments. But we've also got some other comments from Nicola Vlasic. We'll hear what he said. Some of you haven't heard this, but it's been an interesting one. He said, "I'm fed up with this dead-end situation. We all know, you first, that I'm not considered an important player here." Apparently, this is what he said to West Ham. "I'm just one of many in the reserve group. I returned to London respecting the call-up with great fairness, and I'm training every day with the utmost professionalism, but this cannot be the solution. I'm telling you for 2 months that I want to play for Torino, that I no longer want to stay at West Ham under these conditions on the sidelines, and also that my own family never wants to go back to live in England. Also, that I'm not interested in evaluating other market hypotheses, if ever there were. Your behaviour is incomprehensible. I know that Torino has already offered you 9 million euros for a long time, an important figure, respectful of my value and your needs, but you don't intend to negotiate with Torino. You repeat that it's not enough, but you still don't communicate to the Italian club what the right figure is in your opinion. I'm worried I'll continue training with great seriousness, but it cannot go on like this." Very divided, a lot of people are on Nicola Vlasic's comments there.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly where I'll go with this, right? Now, I know that the situation with Moyes and Vlasic is a bit, it's touch and go. Nicola Vlasic's got a contract at West Ham. Nicola Vlasic also cost us £30 million. If we decide that we don't want to let him leave for less than 30 million, but you know what? I would be very tempted after them comments to make him sit the rest of his contract and just keep hold of his 9 million quid's fuck all, nothing. Just keep hold of his contract and make him see his contract out, because it's not incomprehensible. He's got a contract with a football club. Look, I don't know what the situation is in terms of what they've told him, whether they want him, or whatever, but it's down to him now to either honour the contract, or it's down to Torino to pay what we want for him. We hold his registration at the end of this. Is the same situation that we had with Rice.
He doesn't want to play. That's fair enough. But why should we get smacked on the arse?
Yeah, exactly.
And take a big loss. Like you say, it's a business. You don't.
I think there's 2 important things there. Is he's not refused to train. He's not down tools. What he said, he's still training. He's still showing up. But what he said is, we haven't communicated with Torino. We've said 9 million is enough, but we haven't communicated how much we want, how much.
Do you know why? We've done reachables in Australia.
Yeah, there you go. Blame Australia. I don't blame him for wanting to leave. I don't blame him for feeling. Clearly, he is not in Moyes' plans at all. When we did have him here, he just barely featured. So if it's true that we're not, look, just say to Torino, this is the price. There you go. It's up to you to meet it. Put a fair price on him and say, meet that price and negotiate.
Look, listen, come on off it, Nick. Moyes has treated him like a schmuck. Yeah, I do agree to a certain extent. As I said, I don't really blame him if that's the case, and Moyes has told him he don't want him and he won't be playing and all that sort of thing. Fair enough, but who the fuck is he to dictate what we accept for him? That's not up to him.
But he's not dictating what we've accepted for it. What we accept for him, he's turning around and say, Torino have offered you 9 million, and you've not even gone back to Torino and gone, no, we want 15 million.
Okay, all right. Well, that's
but, that's what he's saying, and the way the club's treating him is bad. He's not done a pie yet. He's not thrown his toys out. He's trained. The club don't want to use him. Obviously, Moyes has got no intention of bringing him back into the side or anything like that. So let's be honest. What's he got left? 2 years on his deal. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Take 10 to 15 million and let him go because we'll save on the wages. We'll get the wages off the board.
Give the money back that we've paid him and let him go for nothing.
That's the thing. Either release him out of his contract or take 10 to 15 mil. At the end of the day, he's worth 10 to 15 mil. You can't sit there and say he's worth any more just because we paid 30 million for him. Yeah, we paid 30 million for him. He was shocking. Then went on there and... Sorry, mate.
More fool us.
I don't think he's got a chance. I don't think he got a chance. I don't think he got a chance. It's like, what about that geezer that we've signed in the midfielder, Alex Crowell?
Yeah, didn't get a chance.
He didn't even get a game. No, not one.
No. And that's the problem. You can't blame the player. You've got to blame the manager. Vlasic isn't a left winger, and we were playing him on the left wing.
He looked so much better when we played it. Again, this is like 4 hours. I see this over and over again with Moyes.
Yep.
You see him when they play in the middle, they look so much better, but he just doesn't do it.
Again, when you see Vlasic for Torino, Vlasic for Croatia, he's a completely different player than what we had because he's used in the right system, in the right ways to play.
Yeah. There we go. Look, someone said here. I haven't looked into this. We have though. We communicated the price. It was in the loan agreement. They didn't meet it.
I don't see the point in keeping hold of a player that we're not going to use, who's on, he's got to be on, what, 60, 70 grand a week at least?
Yeah.
If we paid 30 mil for him? What do you think, Gray?
Yeah, look, I say he has been treated poorly. Not been played where, in his natural position and all that. And I get his frustration. But then why, it's up to Torino to pay, like you say, at least 15 million, whatever was in the loan clause. Just pay it and he can go. It's not down to us. It's down to Torino to pay what we're asking.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, I think both sides are coming out terribly. To be quite honest with you, maybe that's why they didn't communicate it, because they think that they was insulted by the offer, or they thought to themselves, well, no, we told them what it was. If they want him, that's what they have to pay.
At the end of the day, I think he's looking down another season of just not playing football, right? And that's what he's facing. And he's obviously in a desperate situation. He knows his family don't want to move back to the UK. So he wants to do whatever he can to try and help the situation so he can go out, leave and play his football. So I completely understand. I do completely understand that, but he should also be venting his frustration at Torino because they're
not paying for it.
Yeah, for not being willing to.
Listen, Red 5 with his super chat makes a fantastic point here. Anderson, Haller, Skamaka, Vlasic. I think you'll find Crow was one. There's been a few players that have gone out the door.
He was loan at least with Crow. At least he was a loan deal.
I remember Crow saying that Moyes didn't even speak to him, wouldn't even communicate with him. You know what I mean? And that is piss poor. That is piss poor. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Why spend all this money on these people for a manager that just, basically mugs them off and fucking makes them feel like shit? It
goes back to where they weren't Moyes signings.
Yeah, but you don't. They're still people, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. I know, no, but that's what I'm saying. You're saying they're bringing free. It may not have been, and I'm not defending him in any way, but like I say, it might have been that they were brought in outside of his sort of remit. So maybe that that's it's just a battle of wills. They want to play. He didn't want them.
I just hate that because we've heard that in football so much, and I just hate that mindset. And I understand to a degree, but this whole thing that a lot of managers, because Big Sam did it sometimes as well. Of I didn't sign him, so yeah, fuck him. I'm just going to ignore him and not give him a chance.
No, that's what I'm saying. It ruins. As footballers are paid to play football. They want to play football. That's what they want. They want to play. It's their job. And I think sometimes they're caught. They're caught in between, like a battle between the manager and the board. So the manager saying, "Well, not my players. I didn't sign, so I'm not going to play them." So, but then that is basically affecting their career.
So, thoughts on what I want to ask you guys is about Cresswell. There's another player who seemingly unhappy that he won't
fucking
be sold.
Depressing. I might go out. I might just log off.
I've got to go soon. But Cresswell seemingly unhappy that the deal has broken down with West Ham and Wolves. He's apparently not been available for training, and he is not going to be in the preseason game against Rennes. So this one hasn't been confirmed. Bit of pinch of salt with this, but it seems to be that he's had to. His head's not in the right place because of the ongoing sale. So he's not been available for training and not available to play. Thoughts? I think that if that's true,
do we get a refund on his wages while he's not in the right mind to do his job?
There you go.
Is that how it works? This is the guy that under Bilic was too tired to train. Look, Cresswell's been a great servant to the club and all that type of thing. But at the end of the day, if we can't replace Cresswell, we ain't going to sell Cresswell. We said Vlasic is a completely different kettle of fish because we've replaced Vlasic already. And he isn't wanted by the football club. Look, whether they had an agreement with Cresswell to let him go to Wolves and we've not signed a replacement, unfortunately, mate, you've got to do your job. So go and do your job. Stop whinging and being a little bitch.
We just talked about Vlasic. Vlasic has still come to train.
Job. Yep.
And
that's the difference.
Is apparently refusing to train. Because
this is a guy that's been in this football club for nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's disgraceful. But from his part, it's disgraceful.
I've never really... Cresswell was a good player. He's diminished in his abilities, but I've never really took to Cresswell. I've heard a lot of stories behind the scenes that, I didn't really repeat because he's been here, as I said, he's been here for a long time. And if some of the stories that I've heard are to be believed, I'm not saying he's not a nice guy or anything like that, but he just don't seem to be bothered by anyone other than Aaron Cresswell. And
yeah, I agree.
And all well and good and all that, but you've been here for 9 years. Antonio's the same. I've put Antonio in that sort of bracket as well. He's gone that way as well, in terms of just seems to worry about. But yeah, from what I've heard stories about him, even when he first got here, and disrespect to different managers, and as you say, Scott, refusing to train, too tired to train, and didn't want to do this, didn't want to do that. There's that about Aaron, and I honestly think listen, I understand that they're offering him a 3-year deal at 33, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get that elsewhere. But at the end of the day, he is West Ham's player. If we can replace him, let him go. Just let him go. £2.5 million for a 33-year-old that's got a year left on his contract, I think is more than fair. In my opinion,
West Ham want $5 million for him. Though I think $5 million is fair because he's a good player. He's just won a trophy. He's still got something to offer. We're not talking massive money here. So I think what West Ham are asking is fair. And I think Wolves have been incredibly tight. But I think, as Scott said, he's been here 9 years. He's just won a trophy at this club. He is tarnishing his legacy massively by doing this, by refusing to train. Because, look, if the deal don't get done, he stays at West Ham and he's here for 10 years. And, look, he's going to be a good squad player. And where is all the good feeling from that trophy win? Why?
And that's the thing, Dan. A lot of people blamed him for us losing that semi-final in the Europa League. But all of us that blamed him for losing that semi-final in the Europa League were so pleased to see him win that trophy, to be part of that squad. And I just feel what he's doing now doesn't reciprocate that respect. Look, he got pelters when he got sent off against Frankfurt, and undeservedly. Look, he made a mistake. People make mistakes in football, especially as a defender or as a goalkeeper. As you know, when you're playing a game, 99 times out of 100, you make a mistake, it costs your team. And he made a mistake, it cost his team. And, he made up for that further down the line. This last season, he made up for that. But now he's put, he took 2 steps forward in, from where he was, and he's gone backwards now. And he's letting himself down by coming out and saying, I'm not in the right frame of mind and all that stuff. Look, if his attitude's bad and he's a bad apple, don't want him around the squad.
Yeah.
I think, like with what you said, Dan, I think 2.5 million out the door with whatever it is, add-ons. Let him go. He's been a good servant. He deserves that. If he's going to get a 3-year deal somewhere else and we're not going to give him anything like that, he deserves to go. And he wants out, let him go. But get the right people. We've got to have the cover there. As I said, you can't rely on, I think it's Ollie Scholes. He's a great potential, but it's too much pressure to put on him and Emerson to be our only 2 left backs.
Oh, hold on. Bill. I noticed I don't read the comments. I've posted every Friday and I don't seem to read them, only the people that pay. It's because when we get a super chat, it flashes in your face. It's there, mate. There's hundreds of comments coming through. We can't see them all.
Yeah.
We're not picking on the ones that pay against the ones that don't. You know what I mean? Otherwise we'll have 3 comments a fucking show.
Well, you just seen us read comments that haven't paid. And the thing is, the reason, because Phil points out the Facebook, the thing is, there's so many YouTube ones and very few Facebook ones that come in. So we don't pick and go, right, that's a YouTube, that's a Facebook. You just kind of look through, and we can't, I'm not like that. We're like this. We go, scan. Okay, we'll click. I don't even look at the symbol. So listen, sorry if we feel like we haven't read your comment. We don't do that on purpose, honestly. We just try and get at the gist of it. You know what I mean?
We're going for comments that sort of tie into it, and there's like we comments that are very like take it the same direction is less attractive than something that a difference of opinion and things like that. You know what I mean? It's no problem.
Yeah, that's
it's not personal. We're not trying to squeeze every fucking last penny out. Yeah, that's for sure.
For a Facebook, Eamon Sales posted 3 squares.
Phil Brown's now turned around and said he's off to YouTube instead of staying on Facebook.
Do you know what? He's been on Facebook. He's one of the few regulars from Facebook. So it'd be weird seeing him with the YouTube logo next to his name. But yeah, you know what I mean? Please don't feel like we pick on any over the others.
This is a good comment. Do you think the trophy win papered over the cracks and now the players are coming back down to earth? The players to Moyes, bad feelings, okay with vengeance? Yes, I do. And I hate to say that. You know what I mean? Like people think I've got an agenda against Moyes. I've got no agenda. If Moyes come out next season and everything was fine and rosy again, I'm not going to sit here and whinge and moan about it because it's David Moyes. I don't care. I've got a lot of respect for David Moyes. I've got a lot of love for David Moyes for what he done for us when he first came into the football club. I've got a lot of love for us for winning a trophy and giving me a fantastic moment. But I don't think that there's a lot of future in David Moyes. David Moyes is on the brink of retirement. He said it himself. You know what I mean? Like, this is his last job. And I don't think sometimes that, pissing off a load of players that, are not fitting into his system that have cost us a lot of money, like in transfer fees, and players that obviously we can, other people can, or other systems can get a tune out of them, is a very short-sighted way to look at it. I am respectful of David Moyes, but also I'd like to see the club go into a different direction. I'd like to see the club more forward-thinking. I'd like to see the club not losing coaches every season because of, I'm not saying these things. I'm just reacting to what the way they're coming out. Like, players are dismissing the way he manages, and that's not good. That is not good. The thing is, you look at the football, it's not good.
Yeah. The thing is, I was one of Moyes' biggest critics last season. After that trophy win, I've got a much more of a deeper affinity for him. And as much as I feel the same way you feel, Nick, in terms of I don't think like long term it's not the right fit. I don't want to see it end badly. I would like to part ideally on good terms with Moyes and be thankful of what he's done and all of that stuff. And that's my worries going forward now. It's going to go down a toxic road and it's hard to play. But yeah, I've got to shoot off anyway.
Right. Hello to your mum before you go.
Say hello to your
Hi, mum. I'll leave the show in your capable hands. Have a good rest of the show, guys. Thanks, everyone.
See you later, Dan.
Bye, Dan.
Bye. Oh, fucking hell.
Oh,
That's
what's
very
that?
close, isn't it? It looks like the Brady bunch.
Yeah, no.
There we go. Okay, yeah. I think they're fair. As I said, like I can't divorce myself from my feelings about it just because we've won a trophy. And if you can, like people are saying, "Oh yeah, but he's delivered, European football." Well, that was what winning the trophy is. If he wins it again, maybe I'll change my mind. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't divorce myself of that. I can't divorce myself about everything else that I've seen and heard, and all of the noises that are coming out, and coaches coming out and saying like he's stubborn, players coming out and saying like he treats me like shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not good for the future. With once Moyes goes, there's another 25 men that's got to be, ready to carry on and not get disillusioned with life.
The thing is, sorry, Scott.
No, go on, mate. Go.
Like you said, Moyes, he said he's going to retire soon, but he's been in management a long time. Since he started management, things have changed. Like things like training methods, diet, the game's moved on, the pace of the game. The players are technically better, blah blah blah, and it's probably just hard for him to, at this stage in his career, change and adapt. I think it's just as simple as that.
The thing is when you look at it, winning that Conference League saved his job. If we got knocked out in the quarterfinals or after the group stages, well, in the group stages, sorry, he still wouldn't be this manager of this football club. He would have gone. That winning that trophy saved his job. Look, and I'll be forever grateful that he brought that night that trophy to this football club. But like Dan says, it'd be sad to see him go out now and in a bad way, of us being fighting relegation, that type of thing. But I do agree with what you said, Nick. There's so much coming out of the football club from people that have left the club that you can't sit there and say, oh, they're only saying it because they're bitter, because these are people that are going on to do it into other roles. You know what I mean? They're not. It's not like they've been pushed out the door. They've left under their own emphasis. They've not been pushed out the door, that type of thing. So you've got to take a lot of it. And it's a lot of people involved around the football club saying the same thing. And I get what you're saying, Gray. He's got his way of doing it. He's done it all those. But to be a football manager, you need to adapt and change to the environment that you're playing in. You don't approach playing football in the Premier League as you do playing football in La Liga or playing football in Serie A. You have to adapt and be and grow as a manager. Look, just because he's the age that he is, doesn't mean you can't grow and improve yourself. He's delivered his first trophy in all the years he's been managing in football.
Yeah, but you just ask, you can't ask him to change his personality or style. I think
Alex Ferguson did. Alex Ferguson did many times. I watched it with my own eyeballs.
I think
was fart.
I think that's where. When you look at managers, there's a very small elite type of managers that can change and evolve. They're very small. They are the great managers of the times and things like that. Look, you look at the Guardiolas. Guardiola's had jobs where he's always been at the best and most wealthiest football club, right? But he adapts and changes. You see with City, he's adapting and changing. He's won the league with City. He's won the Champions League.
Goes back to what I said earlier. Moyes has been in it a long time. He's at the age he's retiring. He's not going to change now.
So fuck off then.
Well, no,
because he needs to change it.
You're saying, oh, Guardiola can adapt. Guardiola's a relatively young manager.
No. What I'm saying is the level of the manager.
I'm saying Moyes, because of the stage he's at in his career, he's coming up to retirement. He's not going to change that. He's not going to suddenly change his whole philosophy on football.
No, of course not. But he should.
You're saying Ferguson did. Ferguson had a lot of years at the top to adapt. Guardiola's had a lot of years at the top. Moyes has always been a sort of middle of the road manager. He's not going to adapt now. So you can't compare Moyes to Guardiola or Ferguson.
No. I'm not comparing, Greg. What I'm trying to say is there's elite level managers, and then there's normal football managers. Moyes is a normal manager. He has his same as Sam Allardyce.
Yeah,
they have their style.
He wouldn't adapt. Bruce wouldn't adapt.
And this is it.
That's why they're out of work.
And that's the thing. That's what because they don't try and emphasize change. Look, a lot of people don't like change, right? But I just feel as a football manager, when you're at a football club, what Moyes was doing worked 2 seasons in the Premier League. Yeah, the 3rd season it didn't work. He needs to adapt and change. If he doesn't adapt and change, we're going to be fighting
adapting and changing. Right, this is what you can do. You can adapt and change and evolve. If you can't do that, right, the thing that you have to do, yeah, is make everyone believe in what you're saying and your philosophy, yeah, and get everyone on board and say this is the way that's going to work for us. Believe me, trust me, and all that. He doesn't do that. He plays a certain amount of players and fucking don't talk to half of them. And when people are saying, like, would you like to try? You know, there's certain ways to implement yourself. And it seems to me like all the noises that are coming out from ex-players, players that are still there that want to leave, you know, coaches that are walking out every year, is that the fact that he's not just not listening to anyone or not taking anyone's considerations, but he's being arrogant and nasty about it. Yeah, and like, you know, he's uninspiring people rather than trying to convince them. He's not convincing them that this is the way and like making them believe that his way is the right way. He's telling them. And you know, sometimes you can't treat people like that. You can't.
No, to be a good manager, you need to listen to the people you put in place to be around you. At the end of the day, he didn't inherit the coaching group that he had ran him. He put that coaching group in place. There's a reason he put them coaches in them positions in the first place. Now, if they're coming to you saying, Gaffer, look, you know, we need to mix it up a little bit. Maybe can we try this? You know, can we have a look at doing something like this? If he's blatantly not listening to, and these are people that he's put into position, it's the arrogance and the stubbornness of the manager not to listen to the people who think it's like me being a football manager, saying to you two, right lads, I want you to come and work with me, you know, and we're going to do this, and then things start going wrong, and say, Nick, you come to me and go, Scott, why don't we try like this little bit? And me going, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, I don't put you two beside me to work with me and help me do the job that I'm being paid to do, and then not listen to your advice.
The best managers know how to manage each personality, and I think the number one person at that from the stories you hear is Brian Clough. You know, Brian Clough could tell and knew whether he needed to be sympathetic, whether he needed to be harsh, whether he needed to, you know, make him feel like shit, make him feel like God. He knew instantly how to make people feel. You know, when he spoke, people listened to him. You know what I mean? And he always made people believe that he knew best. You know, and you know, if you can do that, then you know you've got it cracked. And if you can convince everyone that you know this is the way and this is the philosophy that they have to believe in, and you know just trust me. And there's different ways to get that out of people. From what I'm hearing and what you're seeing is he's not a man manager. He's a dictator, you know, and he's dictating to everyone, and he won't listen to anyone's, you know, opinion. At the end of the day, when you know football in the 90s and football now, you know, some of these players can't even put the fucking switch the telly on and have to get someone round to come and do it for them because they're so fucking like far away with the fairies. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to adapt to that way, and like. Unfortunately, and you've seen it, you've seen managers, you know, even top managers like Mourinho, you know, his philosophy in 2004 and the way he was convincing people to the way he was, you know, in the Premier League towards the end of his career, it changed. People changed their opinion of him. You know what I mean? Because he didn't become someone that was trying to, you know, people did, you know, it failed a couple of times, and people were then saying, "Why don't you know we can't get on with it? We're not the same," you know. And it's just one of them ones where it's just his time's past. His time's past, and if he ain't willing to at least fucking listen to people, then how is he ever going to learn? How is he ever going to know what's working? You know, it got to the point last season when there's players that still play for us now were turning around and saying he was just knocking on the same fucking door. And the only reason we changed it is because, like, we decided to change it ourselves.
And that's the thing. You know, I put the comment up there from Paulie Walnuts. You know, Eddie Howe. You know, Eddie Howe uses his assistants. He uses the assistant. I think I see it there. Is it Jason Tyndall he's got with him? You know, he uses that assistant. You know, and that's why you have these people here. You look at what Eddie Howe done at Newcastle when he come in and took over from Steve Bruce. He just completely changed the philosophy of the football club. You know, and
saying, you know, as before with Moyes, people like Allardyce, Moyes, when they started management, football was completely different.
Yeah.
So like Howe and like you say Guardiola and the younger managers like Arteta and managers like that, they've learned over the year, you know, through playing and as they've come in, new coaching techniques, new dietary needs. You know,
I don't think they're if you want my opinion, I don't think they're learning. I think they're just inventing it. Because before Guardiola,
it started all this thing about diet and things like that started when Wenger came in at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then so they are learning it. They're learning it from when Wenger brought it in, and now they're adapting it and taking it on.
Well, of course,
so
but
they are learning because they're younger.
As
I say, Moyes is coming towards the end of his career now. He's not going to suddenly change and have us playing expansive, free-flowing football.
If he wants to keep a job, he should.
No, we are getting what you're saying.
He's not going to, is he? He's not going to.
No, but Allardyce was big. Allardyce was big on the science behind the football. You know, looking into the science in it and that type of thing, and that's why he had the success that he did at Bolton. But he's still, you know, even his style of football is now outdated. You know, you see that at Leeds, he come in to do a firefighting job there and failed dramatically. To be fair, they looked even worse under him than they did under the last two managers. So it's like you said, it's Moyes' it's his stubbornness not to evolve in the game.
I just, you know, I know. Listen, and everything I say about his management and everything I say about him leaving the football club, it's never personal. Not personal against David Moyes. You know, it's just we need to roll with the times. Sometimes we're a bit slow at that. That's what I would say. Just quickly before we wrap up. Go on, sorry.
No. I was just said it. That's the thing. Look, he's given us a great memory, and look, I hope he goes on and we have another European final at the end of this season. We finish in the top half. That's what I hope for.
I'd love him to prove me wrong. I'd love him.
Exactly.
You know, and there is
do well because if he's doing well, the team that your club
exactly. And there's a part of me that sort of thinks to myself, like with all the change, the massive changes that's gone on, that it might force him into a certain thing, or you know, getting a way that he wants, and you know, maybe just maybe, but you know, as I say, as it stands at the moment, you know, I know where I stand, and that's what I said about in the survey, you know, and people were, you know, people getting personal with me in that tweet that we done on you know, my reaction to the survey. It's not good. Yeah, you can't. Look, I didn't say the fucking stat. I just agreed with it. You know what I mean? I didn't make it up. They put it in front of me. I read it and I said I agree with it. You know what I mean? Like, and the way people got personal with me, you know, sometimes listen, I'm accustomed to a lot of that sort of stuff, and I'm a little bit thicker skinned, but sometimes, like, you know, my wife's sending it to me on WhatsApp saying, like, why are they saying this? And that hurts my feelings, man. You know what I mean? Like, if you disagree, you disagree. Don't get personal with me.
At the end of the day, we've all got an opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Haven't we? It's like, no one's opinion is better than anybody else's opinion. Everyone's got their opinion.
But at the end of the day, that's it. It's an opinion. Look, we might not agree with each other's opinion, but I'm not going to, you know, I respect Nicky's opinion. If I disagree with Nicky's opinion, then that's me. I've got a different opinion to Nicky. I still respect his opinion. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, you fucking airline and all this. I don't understand why people have to get personal with it. Do you know what I mean?
That come from a place that.
But that's But do you know what I mean? It's a difference of opinion. If we all had the same opinion, life would be boring. You know, it's one of those.
No, everyone respects opinion, but a lot of people only respect opinion when it's their opinion.
Or when it's someone with their opinion.
Yeah, when you agree with their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever, fucking. You know what I mean? I don't like my family seeing that sort of shit, man. They don't.
You shouldn't have to put up with that, Nick.
Fuck them.
There's a few super chats, Nick. I don't know whether you've seen them.
Go on, mate. Pull up.
I don't know whether this one has been up because it's been there a while. So it's Matt. So my computer's a bit slow. Matt says, firstly, good to have Gray back. Top man. Sorry I'm late. But just a quick reminder on the transfers, please. Sorry, lads. I want Gallagher so bad. JWP done. Phil Brown going back to the Facebook comments. Don't bother Ryan and never see Facebook comments. It's because Ryan was commenting in the chat.
Someone asked, there was one earlier, someone asked, I was Graham in the Junction pub in Upminster last Saturday. He goes, I was a bit pissed. I don't know.
Yeah, yes, he was.
I was. You weren't that pissed. You did see me.
Red 5499. Cheers, mate. We should have won the final. We were favourites, but that's what's the plan now. With Rice, we could have won the Europa League. We've proved that by beating Seville. Need to get rid of that.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I've seen this a few times from West Ham when they've won finals and that and done well. You know, all of a sudden it just seems to go to pot.
Yeah, exactly. This one here, I agree, Nick. I think Redknapp's another manager that can get the best out of a player. It's how slow my computer is. Sorry. Dino H. Cluffy made Pierce fix his wife's iron just after he got selected for England because he was.
Cluffy's story. Remember when Mark Crossley played for Forest?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the story. I think he said. I think they played like Man United away or something, and he'd played, and Brian Clough went to him. He goes, "Oh, what are you doing tomorrow?" Like basically, the gist was, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And he went, "Oh, nothing." He went, "Oh, my son's Sunday team need a goalkeeper. You're going to go and play for him." And he made him play. He made him play with his son's Sunday team.
So you get away with that back in the day,
yeah.
Just quickly, just to lighten the mood a little bit before you go and finish off the super chats. Then
one more super chat, mate. Matt Rainey again, 499. Cheers, mate. If Moyes remains our manager, the sun will go down and all our hard graft is going to go out the window and be back to square one. Xavi or Potter for me. WBU.
What about you? I think that's a discussion I can go on for hours, and we ain't got the time to do that this week. But listen, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Just quickly, the kit. What do you think the new kit's?
I wouldn't pay. Might be better than to pay £75 for a new shirt, but I like them. They've got a bit of a '60s vibe going on. I quite like them.
I like them both actually. I've seen them, but I've seen the claret one in the flesh. I quite like it. You know, people. Ryan said he didn't like the bubbles and that, and he thought it was awful. I'm different. I differ. I thought it was all right. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But the white one is something else.
The white one's gorgeous. Do you know what? Right, and I saw someone say this to Dan, right, and I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Dan got called a snob, right, because he said the JD Sports logo on the white kit completely spoils it. And do you know what?
I agree with
He's 100% right. That big black spot looks awful on a white kit. Take the spot away, just put JD in black letters. It'll be perfect.
Do you know what? I reckon if you get one of them shirts, I reckon you could get someone to take that off.
Oh, I hope so, mate, because I don't want to pay. I don't pay big money for shirts anyway because I think it's a rip-off, but I wouldn't want that logo does not fit with the kit. Like, look, the one I've got on now, this thing, it blends into the kit. Do you know what I mean? It's not a big black spot with white letters in the middle of it sitting on the back on a white. You know, they've done the silver badge and the silver writing, so it sort of all blends, and you've got that Poxy JD logo. You could buy it with a Betway took off. Let's be able to buy it with a JD took off because it's disgusting and needs to be removed from that.
They pay their money for, which is, you know, well, as I say, I'm really looking into this sort of football kit thing, and we're sort of filming bits and pieces. It's a bit of a slow process at the moment, but you know, that's one of my arguments. You know, why are we paying top money to become walking fucking billboards? You know, why can't they subsidise some of the shirt costs?
I agree, mate. I totally agree. You know, that's it. We're advertising them at the end of the day. We shouldn't have to pay top dollar for a shirt.
You should be able to choose.
Companies.
Like the retro ones, I've got to admit.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, the retro ones are nice, Gray. But as a modern kit, the ones we've got at the minute are really nice. But you can have the option to have the Betway removed. Why can't you have the option to have the sleeve sponsor removed?
That's only just been the option. By the way,
yeah, I know.
Well, no,
that's what I'm saying.
It's only been a few
you have
years.
to buy the under 18 shirt. I mean, they're adult sizes, but you have to buy the under 18 ones without the Betway. The adult ones you'll have to buy.
At the end of the day, the sleeve sponsor and the shirt sponsor get more publicity through the TV than they do for me walking around wearing my West Ham shirt. So I should be allowed the option to take all the sponsorship off because I don't want the sponsorship. Do you know what I mean? If you don't agree with betting, why do you want to wear Betway? You know, do you know what I mean? You should have the choice, and that's what I think. For that white shirt, they will sell more if they took that badge off.
Yeah, but JD would be fucking pissed off about that.
Yeah.
Of course they will. But let's be honest, mate. They're still getting that. At the end of the day, the millions and millions of people around the world that watch the Premier League every Saturday, Sunday, every Thursday night when we're playing in Europe, they're going to see that logo there. They're going to see it dotted around the advertising board. So they're still paying their money for it.
I'll tell you now, right? I bought my boy. He gets them every year because he was like me when I was a kid. He wants the new kit to my demise. I'm telling you now, right? I went and bought a goalkeeper kit, and bearing in mind, goalkeeper kits used to be a bit more expensive than player kits, but they're not. They're basically player kits now, but different colours. I got him. He wanted the full kit, and he plays in it every day. He's one of them ones that want to wear it every minute of every day, and he did with the last year's one. So he got good value out of it that way. He wanted Fabianski on the back with the Premier League badge. That whole kit comes to £158. £158. But we're going to be, as I say, we're putting something together. So keep your eye out.
Mate, that's a con, isn't it? That's a fucking con.
And they didn't give me my fucking discount for season ticket.
That's disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, you do get your pants pulled down nowadays as a football fan. Not just
absolutely.
You go to the ground, buying a drink, buying food. Everything's massively overpriced.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But there we go. Right, let's start wrapping up then.
Good to hear my cousin Craig in there. Craig Phillips. Good to hear him. I know him for a while, so I hope he's doing all right.
I hope you're doing all right, Craig. Get in touch.
My cousin's doing all right.
Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. It's coming close now, the season. We're playing Rennes tomorrow, so I'm going to be back this week with the morning after the game before. So there we go. And then I'm going to be rounding up all the pre-season games that we've seen so far. I've got a little bit more time now. The podcast. We're going to be recording the podcast this week. Brian's had his baby, so that's why there's been no podcast. Mate. Yeah, so he's going to be off for a few weeks. So we're going to get someone to cover him and then start the podcast again weekly. But yeah, massive congratulations to Brian and his family, of course. Yeah, he's had a little baby. He's sent me some pictures. Obviously, I wouldn't share them, but cute baby. And the mother and baby are doing well. So congratulations, my friend. And we'll be back with a podcast this week. Anything else, boys, before we go?
No, that's it, mate.
That's it. I think we've covered everything pretty much tonight, I think.
Brilliant. We'll be back next week then. Thank you very much. One thing left to say.
Come on, you on.